What is going on, everybody? Welcome to Submission Fishing Live. I'm your host, Muto. Glad you could join us. Back in California. How's everybody doing? It seemed like I was gone forever. For those of you that don't know, I was out in Florida. I did a little show out there. It was pretty fun, but made it back Wednesday. Actually, yesterday. I should say Wednesday. Um, yeah, it seemed like a long day. Still catching up. Got the jet lag going on, but we're still here. It's good to be back. Getting ready to do some California fishing. We got some good old Florida fishing stories. But yeah, we got a good show for you guys today. I'm going to talk about lateral lines on fish. It's kind of correlates with kind of the slow winter season, something that's not really talked about too much. So I thought it'd be a good topic to bring up. I've never really heard it talked about. Something kind of new that I've discovered and really been diving into. Um, yeah, a bunch of other things for the show. Should be good. If you guys have any questions or topics you want to discuss, just let me know in the chat and we'll see if we can get around to them. Let's see who we got in here today. Doug Rubin, Oos, number one. Welcome. If you guys are new to the show, we see people saying typing in Oos just means that they've liked the show. So if you hit the like button, you type Oos, lets everybody know. You hit that like button. That really helps with the algorithm, stuff like that. So I really appreciate it. Jessica Muto, Oos, Peter86, what's going on? Welcome. Salty Dangler, welcome to the show. Good talking to you today. To Metal Art, welcome. Leonard, what's going on? Oscar, glad you can join. Jean Marie Muto, Oos, welcome. Welcome to the show. Is this your first time? Incredible weather. Who's going fishing this weekend? Cave Dog, what's going on? Cal, Sea Samurai, what's going on? Kevin, Frey Dog's Fishing Adventures. Oos, glad you can join us, man. Glad you're here. Down in SD, welcome. Nice, guys. Benny Moreno, Oos, doing great. New to your channel. Yeah, I think I saw you in Benny. Welcome, by the way. Glad you can join us. Where did I see you? Discord? Or maybe Roman Show or something like that. Your name looks familiar. Maybe you were on Fishy Hour chatting around. I lurk around in there too, so I've been watching their show long before I had this one. So that might have been where I saw you. I'm glad you're here. Dave Rage, what's going on? Consider the logic. What's going on, Hyder? Oos, glad you guys could all be here. Dave Rage is at the beach. Dave Rage, you're at the beach? Checking in from Carlsbad State Beach, not capping, just drinking by the beach. I'll watch the replay. Thanks for Jessica wants to know what you're drinking. Since she can't drink. Yeah, lots of people were busy today. The Thursdays pop. I know big water fishing was like you had to go to bed for work, all that stuff. But it's man, with this weather out, you got to take advantage of it. And it was hot today, like 80 something degrees out here, probably hotter in San Diego. Freaking crazy. Let's see here. Checking up on Roman's channel. Nice. Well, glad you can join us, man. Welcome to the show. I seen the news, not much going on fishing news wise. The only thing Doug Rubin brought to my attention was the rockfish. I know we talked about God, freaking fly or gnat around here somewhere. Probably gonna bug us all show. The as far as the rockfish go, so we know the vermilion have been cut down from 5 to 4. The vermilion rockfish, the reds, the red rockfish that we catch, and apparently his buddy went to Mexico and brought the fish back and was stopped by the game wardens. Apparently they confiscated the fish, but then let him go. Didn't give him a ticket or anything. So that's really cool. But so it's one of those weird things, like the possession laws you still got to be aware of, even though you go into Mexico, coming into California with those fish. So Mexican laws are different, right? Obviously the bag limit's still higher in Mexico, but by the time you come back here, a lot of times the possession laws come into effect. So they are different. And I think some of the big sport boats, they like, they're a little different, or they like declare stuff. Like I know you can catch a black sea bass here, we know are totally off limits, right? Like you catch a black sea bass, you're in big trouble, but you can actually legally catch them down in Mexico. But it's my understanding you got to fill out paperwork, or there's some hoops you got to jump through to bring one over. Like if you're caught with one of those in your boat, so you got to go through some things to prove that you caught it in Mexico. And then there's other bag limits too, but you got to be careful with the possession. So I'm glad he brought that to our attention. That changed this year. The red vermilion rockfish went from 5 to 4. So even if you're fishing in Mexico, be careful when you're coming back that you have even though you caught them and you're legal in Mexico, once you cross, things change and bag limits and all that stuff. It becomes a gray area and gets a little fishy. You guys like that? It's a little fishy sometimes with some of the laws and stuff. So just be aware of that. So thanks, Doug, for bringing that to my attention. I know we talked about it earlier in the year, but it never even crossed my mind, the whole Mexican border thing. It was pretty crazy. Saltwater Slayer, what's going on? Welcome. You never miss. That's right. You're the man. Driving back from Long Beach, visiting tackle retailers. Attaboy, Kevin. Get it. Sea Samurai. Fishing rep right there, guys. Legendary fisherman. Congratulations on Spotty Bowl. You did pretty well. Sound Fishing Oos, welcome to the show. Welcome. Glad you're here. Will it spike spotty activity? I don't know, Todd. I was in SD Bay for work, almost 90. Yeah, crazy, dude. Like, what's up with that? It's wild. The economy has got me busy. The Fed wants to hike rates. Yeah, those rates are gonna go up for sure. They gotta do something to stop inflation. I think those interest rates are gonna go. So if you guys need money, go take out loans now. This is probably not gonna be cheaper for much longer. That's crazy. Let's see here. So yeah, I got back. I said I went to Florida, bought a new house out there in St. Augustine. And before we get into the fishing deep dive in the science, I'll give you guys a little insight on the whole fishing, and I call it the fishing disaster, the great Florida fishing disaster of 2020, the fishing fiasco of 2022. So we
spent a lot of time looking and researching.
Yeah, we did. We spent a lot of we spent a lot of time like looking for fishing charters and stuff like that. So before we went out, our realtor actually he knew some guy. He is a charter captain. It's not like just some guy. So we were initially going to plan for him, and then what happened was like a sailboat, like a rogue sailboat, I guess came through. It took out his dock, and then it hit his boat. They had it on autopilot or something, and then
down below for just a second.
They went down below for a second, and it ended up taking out the dock, and then I think like sunk one of his boats, and then it like turned around and then took out the boat again or something like that. I think the guy had like two boats. I don't know if it's sunken boat or sunk them both or something. And they were like sending us pictures of holding it out. So that's trip one, right? So scratch that one. Not a big deal. I mean, there's plenty of fisher or charters out there. So then the second guy, we booked this one like weeks out. So we found somebody else. This was like weeks before our trip. So then we booked this other charter. And then just like I think it was like the day before we left, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was like the day before we left. So then this guy calls, we were going to go out Saturday, and he's like, "Oh, I can't get the engines on my boat to work, or I'm going to have to cancel, or I don't know if I can get them." That's so weird. And this is like legitimate site too, right? This is a fishing charter that you find online. They're part of a thing. They got the website. Like, this is what they do. He's having engine problems or whatever, so he has to cancel. So Wednesday, we have to get on the flight at this point. So we get on the flight, we come down, finally land in Florida, don't have a fishing trip lined up. So we're just searching online. There's hundreds of them out there. We found another one because there's little boats, like 4-man boats, usually 4 to 6 people boats. And so we find this other guy. You remember what his name was?
Captain Al.
Captain Al. So then we find Captain Al, and we're like, yeah, let's go Friday. Anyways, he's booked up Friday. No big deal.
The weather,
yeah, we'll get to that. So anyway, so we land. Jessica's talking about the weather. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Dude, Florida was absolutely beautiful. Like 75 degrees. Like absolutely perfect weather, right? Conditions were great. Like there was no wind. Couldn't ask for anything better. We wanted to go out Friday with Captain Al. He had something booked. Like, no big deal. Let's go Saturday. So Friday comes around, and then Friday night, and the weather starts to turn on Friday night, and they're predicting rain, gale force winds, like all this thing. So now the weather's coming. It's supposed to be like 50 degrees, like really cold. Like it was like legit like a 30-degree drop and rain for Saturday or Sunday. So Captain Al calls, and he's like, well, let's cancel Saturday and we'll go Sunday. And we're like, we told him, like, I mean, we brought rain gear. It's not a big deal. Like a little bit of rain. It came down pretty hard, like Friday night. Saturday comes around, and what do you guys think happens? There's no rain. It doesn't rain at all Saturday, and
Windy
it was windy. It was windy for sure.
though.
It was windy and cold. So we went. I went to the like. I found this little pier. I did try to fish, but it was like gale force winds. It was hard winds. We were initially going to go offshore, and he was like, "Well, we're going to have to go inshore." I'm like, "That's fine, whatever. I just want to catch some fish, redfish and black drum or whatever it is. I don't care if we go inshore. I understand like the weather and the wind. So he canceled Saturday because it was supposed to rain. I mean, this Saturday comes around, it doesn't rain at all. It was a little overcast, but zero rain. Maybe it sprinkled a little bit. So then we went to do Sunday, and Sunday comes around, and then what do you think happens? We wake up Sunday, it is freaking pouring rain, like just dumping rain. So then the captain calls at 6 a.m. 6 a.m. in the morning. He said he'd reach back to us. And what does he have to do? You got to cancel the trip because it's raining too bad. And he's like, and he was cool. It's not his fault, but he was like, they told me, the report said it was going to rain Saturday. And, I thought Sunday was going to be the better day. So it just dumped freaking rain all day Sunday. So we didn't get to go fishing. Said he canceled that day. And then the rest of the trip, we had stuff to do. Then we went to Disney World like the next couple days, went into Orlando and did some driving. So I didn't get to fish it all in Florida. So we had a boat that got wrecked, got crashed into. We had one where the engines broke, and then the reschedule on the trip that like should have happened. So that was the fishing disaster, the 2022 Florida fishing disaster.
You did try to fish in that little inlet.
Yeah, I tried to fish. We went to like a little inlet and stuff, but I don't really like know the area. I visited a few tackle shops, so that was cool. Got to talk to some of the old timers, and that's actually always fun too. The old crusty guys, behind the counter. That's when you're getting good advice, and just got to ask them questions and stuff. And I did try to go to the fishing pier once. It was crazy though. Like it was so freaking windy. Like you almost couldn't even stand up on these piers. Like it was, and it was still legitimately like probably 20 people out there fishing. It was crazy. Everywhere you go in Florida, there's like people fishing in the little ponds everywhere. It's like it's definitely a huge thing out there. But yes, totally sucks. I didn't get to go on a boat. So next time, it was like a wasted trip. You go to Florida and don't even get to go fishing. So that sucked. Just to,
One thing we wanted.
yeah, it was like the one thing I wanted to do. It's like the only thing I want to do when I'm out there, right? And it didn't happen, but it's cool. We own a place out there, so I'm sure there'll be many more trips, and I'll just have to double it up next time. And it was February. I mean, what are you gonna do? It's just crazy though how great the weather was. It was kind of like how it feels today in the last couple of days. That's what it was like, and then it just turned. And then the rest of the week, it was cold. It was like 50 degrees, and we just walked around. Got the raincoats, got the umbrellas, but no fish. So that sucks. I thought you guys would enjoy that.
You handled it really
My
well.
plight. Eric Lehman, what's going on? Oos, welcome. Jesse, Oos, welcome. Glad you can join us. Graham just got back from Pittsburgh. It got down to 12 degrees. Yeah, man, that's way too cold. Oh, Captain Dan in the house too. Captain Dan, Oos, welcome. Recuperating well at home. That's good. Let me know if you need anything. We'll hear from you. Wasn't meant to be salty. You know what? I thought that too. And that crossed my mind. I was like, we were trying, and I was like trying so hard to like, I'm like, oh man, we can call these people. And I was like, it literally hit the back of my head at some point. I'm like, maybe God just doesn't want me to be on a boat this weekend because everything was just falling through. It's like I probably just shouldn't push the issue too hard. So we let it go. It is what it is. Not like I don't get enough fishing in my life. Captain.
That plumber guy I talked to today was like, yeah,
Good.
if you can keep him from fishing too much. And I was like, it's funny you should mention that.
Captain Dan said he got some skin removal. Nice, man. Congratulations on the weight loss. Mission Bay all over again in Florida. Yeah, we'll get to that. Captain Dan, isn't that called divorce? Yeah, so yeah, that kind of sucked. But it was good. Florida was cool. I mean, all in all, I'm excited to go back and definitely learn all those grounds, all the different fish and stuff. But yep, that's what it was. Let's see what we got here. So Spotty Bowl. How was Spotty Bowl this weekend, guys? I heard it was great. Everybody slayed. For those of you that know, it was rough. I knew it was going to be rough, and I'm not glad I missed it. The only downside is I don't have any mulligans left, so from here on out, I got to fish. I have no more free passes. Um, yeah, Mission Bay was pretty brutal from what I hear. It seemed like a couple people did well, and that was pretty surprising. But this kind of leads into the topic that I wanted to talk about. The winter bite slowed down, and one of the things that I was kind of constantly hearing about is people were constantly talking about using lighter line. Um, it seemed like a lot of the success that went on, people had dropped the line down from what, like 15 pounds. Some people were fishing like 6 pounds, from 15 to 6 pounds. Um, yeah, lots of finesse fishing. It sounds like, it's my understanding. Like I said, I wasn't there. It was, the water was really clear. Um, crystal clear water, pretty calm conditions, but just really, really slow. And downsizing the line seemed to be the key. And one part of the downsizing the line is not only the sight. When it's clear like that, you have the sight vision, but also the pressure in the water. One topic I started hearing more and more about is like in the anatomy of the fish, right? I've been studying fish and kind of what makes them tick and stuff like that. And one thing I started coming across was that I'll put this link for you guys in the chat. There's actually a good Wikipedia article on it here, but I didn't really know a lot of this, to be honest with you. Is that fish have what's called, or I've heard the term lateral lines. People say, "Oh, look at the lateral lines on that fish. Look at the lateral lines," but what does lateral line even mean? Like, I've heard that before, and you can see the line, and I'm like, "Oh yeah, lateral line." Like, okay. And I remember specifically when I went into Florida, um, and our captain, we were like holding up the drum, and he's like, "Yeah, look at the lateral lines on that thing." And the lateral line is an actual sensory gland that all fish have that runs from its nose, and it actually runs on the side of its body. It's an actual like characteristic that they have. We can read some of it here. It's the lateral line, also called the lateral line system, or lateral line organ. It's a system of sensory organs found in the fish used to detect movement, vibration, and pressure gradients in the surrounding water. The sensory ability is achieved via modified, I don't know what that is, epithelial cells known as hair cells, which respond to displacement caused by motion and transduce these signals into electrical impulses via excitatory synapses. Lateral lines serve an important role in schooling behavior, prediction, orientation. Fish can use their lateral lines to follow waves produced by filling the prey. Lateral lines are usually using visible lines on the side. And I got some pictures here. And where this correlates into the whole thing with the lighter line is that the fish can actually sense um, heavier lines that go down, or baits that are thrown. So if you're throwing like a super heavy line, or you're using 30-pound monofilament, the lateral lines on the fish can actually sense the pressure coming through, a dock. If you got 30 feet of line coming through, let me bring up some pictures here. I'll just show you guys here on the board. These are the lateral lines, and all fish have these. So if you've got 30 feet of 40-pound mono going through the water, the lateral lines of these fish can actually fill them. And I heard about this with trout and stuff like that, and I wasn't really sure if all fish had it, but they all do. Stripers, trout, every fish apparently have these lateral lines, and you can see them here close up. And here's what we were talking about. It goes into the head canal, into the eyes, and then the signals go into the brain. And there's this line right here that goes across the body that actually senses the water displacement, the pores. It knows when to eat. So a lot of times when it senses a bait over its head, it knows it's there without even having to look at it. When the water's murky and cloudy, they're not actually relying on their sight so much. They're going for the vibrations that they feel in the water with the lateral line. And we got to few pictures here, you can actually see it. This one right here on the spotty. It's not as pronounced as some species, but they're definitely there. And then here was one that I think I had from Spotty Bowl, and you can see this one that goes right across the body. It's like a little different little variation, but when you get close to it, it's actual pores and stuff in the system of the skin. It's funny. I was looking through like the internet trying to find pictures of spotties, and I was like, man, why can't I find it? And I was like, why don't I just open my phone? I've got like 10 million pictures of spotties on there. But anyways, people were talking about the lighter line, so that's how this all ties in, right? People were catching on the lighter lines. So one thing you have to understand is that when the conditions are really calm and not a lot is going on, they're actually a lot more sensitive to like the different pressures in the water and stuff like that. So without even having to see the jigs, a lot of people think like, oh, you're putting the fluorocarbon or the mono out simply so that they can see, they can't see the bait. That is some of it on the really, really clear days, but it's also them actually just sensing what's going on. So when you switch from 15 to 6, you got to think about how much pressure is actually coming down on top of the fish. And I've been going over this last couple of weeks, like switching line. I know I switched like 10-pound line when I went to San Diego Bay. I was throwing like a little 10, 15-gram jig, and I switched with super thin. I mean, 10 pounds is thin for me, but it was like a thinnest line I could find. Just seeing how it was working, and I seem to be getting more bites than I was with the 15. Traditionally, I use heavier line just because I like to use the jigging, the vertical jigging, slow pitch jigging. Um, so I like the heavier line for pylons and stuff like that, or pilings. But yeah, I started switching over to the light stuff, see if there's anything to the the lateral line system of the fish that I've been hearing about, and a lot of it makes a lot of sense. That so many people were catching once they switched to the light. So I think when it's see Samurai says senses vibration. A lot of things. It's like the vibration, the pressure. They can feel the pressure too. That's why if you read the article, fishing like when they're in fish tanks, that's how they don't bump into the glass or how they can maneuver. It's almost like a subconscious thing that they have in them, and that's what triggers the that reaction bite that we talk about so much. When they a lot of times they'll sense the fall of the jig, and that's what causes the trigger in their brain. A lot of times it's not even like not even seeing it and thinking about it. They're getting the sense and they know what it is, and then they attack to it. They see the lure go over their head like a halibut, and then it brushes over the lateral lines. They feel the spinner bait and the blades going. A lot of times they attack. And I just thought that was super interesting that when I downsized, I was getting a lot more bites in the winter when I went out like last week, and where I was struggling that spotty bowl before when I went at night. So I dropped my stuff down on my vertical jigs, and it really seemed to pay off. So I just wanted to bring that to your guys' attention, that fish they're not just sight predators. And I think we obsess over colors and what they can see, and we downsize fluorocarbon or go from mono to fluorocarbon thinking, oh, they're going to see the line. But that's really, honestly, it's such a small portion of what a fish is using to actually find bait and catch fish. Like, how do you think they find bait at night when there's no moon? And when the water's really murky, interesting, I heard this on a podcast where you would think that when the water's really murky, people have a tendency to throw on heavier line because they're like, oh, what does it matter? I'm going to throw on heavy line because it's super murky. The fish aren't going to be able to see it. So what do I care? I'm just going to throw on a heavier line and catch. But here's the interesting thing. When the water's murky and the fish can't see, they're actually going to rely on the vibrations and the senses from their lateral line much more than they would if the water was clear. So it's sort of like that oxymoron where when you're going deeper with slow pitch jigging, how you're using a thinner line so it gets down and it's not kiting in the water. You would think that with the cloudy water, you don't have to worry about your line thickness because, oh, the fish can't see it. But in reality, the fish can feel that thicker line. And more so when they can't see, they're using their other senses more. So it actually behooves you to use a much thinner line when it's cloudy out or when the water conditions aren't as clear, because they're not relying on their sight. They're feeling everything around them. They're waiting for the pressure drops above their head. Like, they can feel the pressure difference with the line falling on top of them. So if they think it's probably like a samurai sword coming down, right? you got 30 feet of mono coming on top of them, they can actually feel the pressure from that line. And when it's a lot thinner, it can make all the difference in the world. And I just thought that it's super interesting, this topic that I kind of stumbled upon. And I know a lot of old timer fishermen and stuff like that. They're not even old timers, but I think really good fishermen understand this stuff a lot better. But I never really looked into it. I've heard the terminology and I understood, fish sense things, but I never really got into the intricacies of how much they do rely on this system. And all fish have this system. And it's like, it's almost like a sixth sense, beyond touch and everything else. They can actually feel what's happening. And I just thought it was fascinating that above them and behind them from the side, they can actually touch the water and they feel all the differences in the pressure and everything. So I just thought that was crazy. And then when it's murky, and it made perfect sense to me, right? When the water is really crappy, they're really literally just relying on their sense of feel through the water. And a couple of the correlations that I had to put together, when I do slow pitch jigging for the micro jigs, on all these fish, was I remember I always tell people to don't just change the weight of the jig, but change the profile of the jig. And now it kind of makes, perfect sense to me. When I say changing the profile, really what I mean is you're changing how it falls, or how it presents. Some have a real erratic, like tumbling fall. Some have a, much softer, like leaf fall. It was interesting that sometimes I would switch. So I would switch the profile. One bait I'm using, really twirls down and makes a lot of commotion on the way down. Sometimes you don't get bit. And then I switched the actual profile of the bait. So instead of just switching from a 10 to a 15 to a 20, the size, a lot of times we switch the size, but we're using the exact same bait. We're using a 20 gram and then we go to a 15 and a 10, but the profile of the bait is the same. It's still getting the same action. Of course, with the smaller bait, it's putting out less vibrations and stuff, but the fall is still the same. So when you switch the profile of the bait that falls differently, suddenly you're creating totally different signals in the water to the fish. And I noticed that when I would change profiles, I would get bit sometimes. Like I've got the assassin jig and the sumo, right? Which are two, intentionally I made them two completely different profiles that fall two completely different ways, and they have two completely different actions. And incidentally, it's most of that I think comes into the fact that they're sensing the different motion in the bait. Sometimes they don't want one. It's too erratic, and they don't want it, and they're not really seeing it, so to speak. I think on some days they're actually feeling the bait coming down on top of them, and depending on the day, they're going to want a different bait. And it's kind of fascinating to see all this stuff with the lateral lines and stuff like that are kind of triggering a lot of these bites. So I just thought that was interesting, and hopefully you guys learned something from that. I know I've been learning a lot with it. Yeah, water is also acoustic. But catch up on some of these quotes here. Yeah, there was a whole nother thing, like the fish is hearing. We'll go over that, like a different topic with fish have hearing, and then the hearing is a whole nother layer too. And I just think one of the things I want to just bring about is that awareness to is that we get so caught up on like the sight, like, oh, the fish are seeing this and they see this and they see the line, but it's really such a small piece of the puzzle. I think we can really learn and use different techniques and really study the anatomy of the fish to elicit, bites that we wouldn't normally have, instead of just thinking with our eyes or thinking of the fish have eyes, but really start playing into the other sensory abilities that they have that we don't really consider. We always consider sight. I think that's the number one thing. We're like the colors and the line, but consider these other things when you're out there fishing, and I think it'll make a big difference for you. And one of the main reasons I want to bring this up too, because it seemed like the people that did really well tended to drop the line size, and that seemed to be like the theme. Everyone was like, oh, I went 6 pounds, I was running 5 pounds, I was running 6 pounds. I know, like, who was it, Jordan, Uncle Dan, he's got a YouTube channel too, check him out. He was talking about how he went to like 6 pound, I think, and he did relatively well. I don't know what Eric Judge Lehman's in here. I don't know if he downsized or not, but I know he did. He got like a third place, and I'm curious to see what the top leaders did and what other people did. So I just thought that was interesting. Zachary Riggs, Oos, welcome. Tyler, what's going on, man? Oos, glad you joined us. I saw that monster bluefin you caught, dude. That was freaking awesome. Let me catch up on some of the questions here. Oh, you noticed the cat walking behind me? Yeah, she passed out. Since we got back, so we were gone for like a week. She doesn't let me out of her sight now. She's been like last day and a half. She's been following me everywhere. Salty's talking about getting ready for SBS or whatever the competition is called. Oh, that was a note from Jessica. Yeah, the SBS coming up. For those of you guys that don't know, Salty Dingler and Brian are going to be doing that. The SBS, it's the Bass Series. What does the SBS stand for? Saltwater Bass Series, I'm assuming. I don't really know all the ins and outs and the rules. I think it's really any bass, calico, sand bass, spotty. You have to have him to ask him to find out. But on that note, I will say I'm going to be sponsoring those guys. So that's super exciting. They're going to be out submission or slow death jigs. We're going to sponsor them. So I'm super excited about that. Hopefully they get some wins on those things. So yeah, whatever you guys need or let me know. I'm excited to get you guys some fish out there with some of those jigs. That's awesome. I know you guys will do well. You're probably two of the best fishermen I know, at least for bass. I don't know how you guys. I've seen Brian's tuna video. He needs to brush up on that a little bit, but bass game is on point. 10 out of 10. Let's see here. Eric said Walmart's having a sale on bananas.
That's mean.
You gonna throw one on the boat, Eric? Yeah, I actually missed that. Oh, let me see here. Yeah, see, Samurai says sense of smell as well and taste. Yeah, man, there's like all these just different facets, and I think we get just so hung up on like the like color is like the biggest thing, right? Everyone's like, oh, the color, the color, the color. We get so hung up on our colors, and I think that's what we see, and we assume that the fish is seeing it. But yeah, there's so many other things. Scents, I think, are probably the second most popular thing. I mean, obviously, we know scents work. I make a scent, it does really well. Like the Kitex, they put scent in their bait. I think actually a lot of companies do. Are scenting up those baits. They put the salts in it and stuff like that, or just the scent. So we know scent works for sure. They could smell it. The Berkeley Gulp, dude, that's another one that's just that bait basically it makes all its money on the scent. Like that's its claim to fame. If it does one thing better than anything, it's that it puts that scent out. So Eric you were using 20-pound braid. Yeah, which is interesting. And that actually almost kind of correlates because braid is super, super thin. 20-pound braid is actually really thin. So you didn't even use a leader at all. It's my understanding, Eric, right? So I don't think Eric uses a leader. He goes straight braid to his jigs. Unless he's doing the slow pitch, then I think he uses the leader. But which is funny because that kind of correlates. If you're using just 20-pound braid, I mean, that braid's going to cut through that water like, hot knife through butter. So that kind of makes sense, and you were finesse fishing the Ned rig. Yeah, that seemed to be the way to go. Salty Dangler. Yeah, it's the saltwater bass series. That's awesome. There's some slayers in there. Yeah. Dude, that's one of those competitions, right? Where um sort of like the pro leagues, like whenever you're in like the NFL or something like that, like everybody's good, even though teams suck, or like somebody gets the last place, or like there's players that are not good. Those teams and those players are still like the best in the world. They're just still like the top college players, and the worst team in the NFL could beat any other team in college or any amateur team. It's like you're like, oh, this team sucks. But so it's like one of those things. Even the saltwater bass series is a lot of big hitters. Probably like one of the even if you place pretty low there, it doesn't really say much about the fishermen. It doesn't mean they're bad fishermen. You're like, I did just had a bad day in a really good field of people. Saltwater Slater says I only use the electric shad for color. Which one is that? Yeah, I throw all kinds of colors, man. I'm not like I kind of start with the blue, like the blue and white, and then I go off of there. But if the pink's biting, dude, I'm slamming the pink all day. Or the glow. That all glow bait seems to do really well for me, like at sunrise and sunset. I think it's pretty good. But yeah, man, you stick with whatever works for you. It's definitely a confidence thing. Uh, Eric Lehman says, when you throw an A rig with different colors, they always seem to bite the same color. That's interesting. Yeah, you. I mean, I know you throw the A rig a lot. That's good stuff. Do you throw How many different colors do you throw on there, Eric? Do you just do two, or do you do like a different color on every single one? I know a lot of people are saying like they usually bite the trailer one in the back, which is probably true. I think I probably, regardless of the baits that I have on, I tend to get more bites on that back one than anything, or even the bottom ones. It seems like those top two just don't get any action for some reason. So it kind of makes sense when we're fishing. Whenever I get bit on the A rig, it's like spotties. Spotties or halibut most of the time, which makes sense. I mean, they're living on the bottom. They're probably not going to come up, and if they can hit the bottom ones or the back ones, I mean, that's what just kind of makes sense to me. I don't know the colors. When I'm running an A rig, I usually do two colors, and I'll do two contrasting colors, like a dark green and an orange, and then I'll run like a white, or I'll run a clear, like a clear curly tail, and then like a pumpkin or something like that. So I try to do like two colors that are opposite, but I don't really know if I've noticed the. That's interesting. I never really paid attention. I haven't fished the A rig that much. I've done it a little more this year, but I feel like 2020, I A rigged a lot for sure. That was before I found the slow pitch game. I was using the A rig a lot, but I wasn't really taking mental notes of which color was getting bit more. That's interesting. So would you say that they bite the same color over and over, or is it different colors for different days and they just stick with that one color? That sounds like a science experiment. We're gonna have to get a hold of bait fishing with Roman and Brian and see if we can do a. I think it'd be a good science experiment. Everybody runs A rigs with two colors and then sees which one gets bit and if one constantly gets bit. That'd be interesting too. Although I will say, Eric, one thing I did do one year was like my A rig I was using Kitex and one of the ends got bit off, and I was just running, but I didn't want to change it. Like I was lazy. I was like, whatever. They ripped the back off. I caught a fish on it, but the back was done. So I was just throwing on the body that didn't have the tail on it anymore, and I caught three more fish, and they were only biting the one without the tail. So I had Kitech, five Kitechs on this thing, and they kept eating the one without the tail on it. So it was just the stupid body on the hook, and they kept eating the one without the tail on it. So literally the bait with like no action whatsoever. They were just all about it. And that happened one day to me. So I did take note of that. And I was like, dude, that's so weird. Like, why the hell do they keep they're going after the one that has like no action? I don't know, man. Sometimes we think we know so much about fishing and we don't know anything. Benny Moreno, what's your opinion on assistance hooks? You mean like just the assist hooks on like slow pitch jigs? I mean, I'm all about them. I use them on everything, pretty much. I for those for if you don't know Benny, I make my own jigs, slow death jigs, and we sell them if you want them. Submissionfishing.com. But everything's pretty much I have is rigged up with. I have one right here, rigged up with the assist hook. If this is what you're talking about, this is usually there's one on the front, one on the back, but I moved the front to the end here, so I was gonna try it at the bait barge, but yeah, I like assist hooks just because nothing seems to ever get away from assist hooks. Very rarely do you like how many times you've been fishing a Ned rig and you get short bit because you're relying on them like they got to eat the whole freaking bait. If they how many times they bite the tail and they get away or they just pick at the back. They come up and sniff a jig like they're done. They're pretty much hooked even if it doesn't get them in the mouth. Like it's got them in the side or something and they seem to get them. I like the catch rate with them for sure. Because they don't even have to really like inhale the bait. They just come up and smack it with their nose. Like one of those hooks is getting them. And once you learn to like get them out and take care of the fish, it's not too bad. Also, I will say with assist hooks, I've never had um I've never had a fish like inhale them. Actually maybe I have one, like once or twice, but not to my memory that I know of where it, like they inhaled it and you had to kill the fish to get it out. One thing when I was fishing Ned rig for a while, it seemed like every third fish sucked the Ned rig so deep that the hook it gut hooks it, and then you either got to cut your line off and just leave the hook in the fish to give it its best chance of living, or you try to do surgery and take it out, but then the odds of the fish surviving are pretty low. So what's interesting with the assist hooks, I rarely see them like down in the gut. I don't know if they get the bait down because it's hard metal or what it is, but they're almost always in the lips or like on the surface, pretty superficial hooks, and then you can pretty much let them go. But I know that Ned rig and even sometimes swim baits, man, they just like they suck that thing deep, and where like their lips are past like the hook and they're almost touching the line, and you already know when you look down in its throat and the hook's like down in there, you're like, oh, dude, that's not good. So that is one byproduct of assist hooks that I have found over the years is it doesn't really do too much damage to them, at least from what I've seen. You guys might have a different experience. See, Samurai says 6 pound braid for me. Was that what you were using? That's interesting. See, so that was Kevin did really well, and he was super super light line. And what were you using for your braid? I mean your leader, if you were using any. If you want to give up your secrets. Oh, interesting. Somebody asked him that. Saltwater Slayer says it's equivalent to 6 pound mono. Yeah. So Saltwater Slayer, you see how thin that is. So now you're starting to see the guys that did really well were using super, super, super thin line. I never use a leader slow pitch. I just use straight mono. Oh, interesting. So you just do your whole thing. So you just do the whole reel mono. Interesting. I mean, that works. Whatever works for you. The only thing I would say is that if you do decide to go deep, you're going to definitely want some braid. If you're just fishing the docks, who cares? Even the bay barge, I wasn't worried about it. But if you're looking to go offshore, like if you're going to Cedros, you probably still be fine too. I think the fish will be biting like crazy. Just when you're going rock fishing, if you're going like 4 or 5, 600 feet deep, even 200 feet deep at thin braid, trust me, man, it's going to pay off for you. You'll never hit the bottom with that mono, or you will, but your jig is going to be like a quarter mile off. Um, just like straight up into Neverland, and you're going to try to jig it. And it's like, it's so horizontal. It's happened to me. And it's like, you can't even get it off the bottom. It's crazy. That's where that thin braid will come in though. But bays, yeah, no problem. Just run whatever you want. Sea Samurai, 12 pound Iser line, 5 feet or less. Nice. That's fairly heavy. But yeah, the rest of your line was thin. Also, I've heard the theory that like a short, because I run a long leader. I don't know about you guys. When I'm fishing the bays, or pretty much any fishing in general, maybe due to the slow pitch jigging that I do, I run like a 5 to 6 foot leader. My leader is like the whole length of the rod, because and those pilings are and the fish gets tied up in it. I just like it running a super long leader. But I've also heard of running a short leader because then this is again for like finicky fishing and along the same thing with the lateral line, like running the short, since the leader line is typically a lot thicker than the braided line, that if you run even a shorter leader, like it's increasing your chances. I mean, you're really splitting hairs at that point, but I have heard that. And even getting into the hardware, which is another thing. Like I used to run a swivel all the time. I used to go like braid to swivel, to leader, and then to the line. So I dumped the swivel at the braid to the mono, and I just run an Albright knot, like one of the thinnest knots I could find. And then I put the swivel down by the jig with a power clip, like a real small swivel. So I still got the swivel, but now it's using the motion of the jig itself. It's not in the middle of the line. It's just been working out, I think, a little better for me. Catch up on the chat here. 12 pound. Oh yeah, we got that.
We're talking about all the different colors. There's lots of different colors.
Eric, different colors, different days. Interesting. But then they stick to that one color, so they get different colors, different days, and then they just stay on the one. Leonard says, I feel like I get bit on the bottom to the most. Oh yeah, on the A rig. Yeah, I agree with that. The bottom two are the back one. for sure. I don't think like the top ever gets that much action. Peter86 says he throws 5 different colors on my A rig. And what is your expert opinion on that? Do you think you get all the equal bites on the 5 different colors, or you think it's pretty? They stick on one and then stick with it all day. I think that's a good science experiment. Brian, I know you watch the replay on this Fridays, so let us know. If you guys don't want to do it, we'll do it. But I feel like that's a good bait fishing project. If you guys don't know what I'm talking about, check out Roman and Brian bait fishing. They got a live show too. Brian likes to fish with Spotty Bowl Champion is the host with Roman. They got a great show, so check that out. I know they like to do a lot of bait fishing specific, and Brian really likes to do those science project stuff. Zach says, I used to put all different colors, and I think that worked better. Yellow was always bit in San Diego Bay. Yeah, dude, chartreuse. That's a good one. I've had luck with all colors. I'm not like I'll switch colors depending what day it is. I don't have like a. I'm not dedicated to one color. I'll go red, I'll go pink, blue, whatever it is. But I think I am with Eric on that though. Like it does seem like once I find the color that's working, I'll stick with it. The only like caveat to that is like the when it's sunrise and sunset, the glow color seems to do really really well. It's like the couple hours within like the sunrise and sunset that, and maybe that's a superstitious thing with me, but whenever I start off with that one, like as the sun's coming up and when it's going down, that thing just gets smashed. But that could also just be when the fish are hungry and I started using that color. Then it's like, who freaking knows? It's probably just a good time to go fishing, anyways. They probably eat anything. Coach Worf, welcome. Pohukai, good to see you again. Glad you can make it. Thank you for joining us. And there says you use all the same color most of the time. Nice. He says I was throwing the same rig for a while. An arm broke off the rig before I ever changed the bait on it. Nice. Heck yeah, I get some miles out of that thing. Clearly weren't using the Kitech because you would only got like one fish out of every 6 baits. Eric says I try left side one color, right side one color, and the middle will vary. Nice. That's good stuff. Benny says I'm new to bait fishing. I do more trout fishing. I'm a trolling kind of guy. What kind of trout? Like the big trout? I grew up on a lake doing like a lot of trout fish. Not a lot, but when I was a kid, I used to trout fish, mostly with like night crawlers and power bait and stuff like that. Nothing trolling. They weren't big trout either. We're talking like maybe 12-inch trouts and stocked lakes and stuff like that. But I've seen some of those serious trout, man. They're just like, I've seen some beasts. I think if you're trolling for trout, they're probably a decent size. Yeah, that's no joke. Coach Worf says white was often a chosen color when shadows are long. Yeah, dude, white. I like white. I love me some white baits for sure. I love white swim baits, like the white Kitech or even the white Kalen's. White Kalen's grub, so good. What's the diva fish?
The fish in Mission, was it Mission Bay, San Diego Bay?
Oh, Mission. Oh, I see what you're saying. Mission based bodies are
too
too particular to bite anything I throw. Dude, Mission Bay sucks, man. It's hard. I really don't enjoy fishing Mission Bay. I've had really good days there too. I guess not to say I haven't caught huge fish there. I've caught pretty big fish there, and I've had days where I've done well. But it's like, yeah, man, it's when Mission Bay is bad, it's bad, and it's like it's just not enjoyable. In my experience, when it's good, it's like any fishing. But it seems like I can go to San Diego Bay, and most of the time, I can do pretty well. Like I don't have that many like really really bad days in Mission Bay. I mean San Diego Bay. Mission Bay, it's like a straight up 50% chance it's going to be a good day or not. When it's not, it's like it's freaking rough. Some people found them though, man. Not very many, but some people did. Let's see here. Kwai, welcome. by the way. Let's see what you got here in your question. What do you think of the 6'6" medium heavy Titan paired with an accurate 30 with 12-pound braid for slope? Dude, I think that sounds like a good setup. That sounds perfect, actually. That's what I've got. I've got 3 Titan Phoenix Titans. No, I've got 4 Phoenix Titan rods. Actually, I've got like I think almost every single one. That should be good, dude. I think you want to see this question right here. 12-pound braid. Depending what you're fishing for, you might want to go a little heavier on. Again, you want the thin braid. I am a believer in thin braid for slow pitch jigging, so it might be okay. It depends what you're going for. Obviously, I think 12-pound will rock it for like rockfish because it'll be thin. It'll get down there, and chances you're gonna get a 12-pound rockfish unless you're getting like cow cods or hook up on a big ling. You're probably not gonna get too much bigger than that, so you should be okay. If you're going for tuna, it's a little different. Even typically they're not that deep either. Like my tuna setup, I've got the 6'6", like the heavy Titan with I think it's like the 150 to 350, and I've got that one. I think I've got 30-pound braid on that thing, and then I'll run like a 30-40 pound leader. But those fish are typically, I mean, they come up like 10 feet or less in the water, so you don't need to drop that deep. Usually like when they're on the boat, they're pretty close to the boat when you're chumming. And if you need to go deeper, I'll lighten it up. But overall, dude, I think that's a great setup. I think you'd be fine. Should slay it. Mission Bay does not suck. That's what I keep hearing. Brian likes to fish, would agree with you. Mission Bay doesn't suck, but it can suck. I think if that makes sense. Like, ha ha ha, Mission Bay. The Mission Bay hatred is real, dude. It is. It's savage. I have no idea why, but hell, I think it's just because it's rough, Coach. Like, to be honest with you, if you want to go out there and catch fish, like if you told me, hey, like if I was going to take somebody fishing, for example, if somebody never fished before, and they're like, hey, dude, let's go fishing. I want to go fishing. Take me somewhere to fish. I'm not going to Mission Bay. That's for damn sure. I think some of the quality is better for more experienced fishermen that understand it's fishing and not catching. Like if you're going for um, the larger fish and you understand that there's a good possibility that you're skunk, I think that's fine going into that mindset. But if you just want to catch fish, like I'm going Mission Bay all day. I mean, I keep saying that. I'm going San Diego Bay all day. I'm not going Mission Bay. Even though I've never skunked. I have never skunked at Mission Bay. But I've had days where it's like really slow. But I've not skunked there. So Mission Bay is not that bad, right? But there's just days where it's like I've gone like literally hours and hours, like 4 5 hours in between fish, and it's like it's been brutal. I think that's why. It's some of the newer guys too. I think they go out there, they have a bad day, and it's hard to get over that, especially when you go to San Diego Bay and you've had like such a good day. Even if you're catching little dinks, like you go down to like Glorietta or Tidelands, you can just catch unlimited fish. And sometimes I think it's hard to then go to Mission Bay and go 12 hours to get one fish.
Eric asked everyone to say where their PB spotties were.
Everyone in the chat, what is your biggest spot you caught, Mission Bay or San Diego Bay?
Mission.
Consider the logic. Best day at Mission Bay. Mission for me. Kalen's grubs are good. Just torn too easy. Yeah, that's true. Sea Samurai, Mission Bay. Never caught a big spotty in San Diego Bay. Mission Bay on my PB spotties for Peter. My PB was Mission Bay. Caught 15, 16, 16.5. 20 inch from behind the Steel World ages ago, man. Mission Bay is where I caught my 3 biggest spotties during the summer. It was awesome. Biggest spotties have a board. Mission Bay all day. See, so everybody's saying Mission Bay. Mission Bay, Mission Bay. PB spotty, Mission Bay. Well, guess what, guys? My biggest fish, heaviest fish, from last year's Spotty Bowl with the plaque, top one, San Diego Bay. 16, 16 and 3/4 inches. And I forget how many pounds it was, but it was a beast. And then it was beat. That record held until like the very last week. Salty caught one, I think a 17 incher, and I think it was in Mission Bay. Prior to that, my biggest one was in Mission Bay. But I want to know what's interesting is that we did this. You guys can look on this. If you guys don't know what we're talking about, there's a Discord link that is linked to Spotty Bowl. We're talking about a Spotted Bay Bass tournament here in San Diego, but we went through the numbers, and I think statistically speaking, the largest fish were caught out of San Diego Bay. Right, Adobo did the statistics, and I think you can still see it from last year. And I think that's why it surprised everybody, because the bigger averages came out of San Diego Bay as opposed to Mission Bay, because everybody was saying. But it looks like individual fish. Oh, there we go, Leonard. San Diego Bay. That's right, baby. So I think the consensus seems to be, I think everybody's like single largest fish has come out of Mission Bay. But I know statistically speaking, last year's Spotty Bowl, I do believe the biggest average for the year and the season did come from San Diego Bay. Bokai, 17-inch PB Spotty from, yeah, man, 17. That's awesome. Damn, 18-inch. That's a hog, dude. I don't know if I'll ever see something that big. That's big. 18-inch Spotty, Newport Harbor. Kauai 69, are you up in Newport? We're actually doing I think in the end of March, we're going to be up there doing a trip. A whole bunch of us are going to go up there and go fishing. So I don't know where you're located, but if you want to join us, I think it's the 22nd or 26th or something like that. I'll have to figure out. This is in March. So we're going to go up there, and Newport trip is going to be fun. Yeah, dude, we're going to go out there full force. All the San Diego guys, we're going to roll up there and smash some Newport Harbor. I've never fished. I fished there off of like the sport boats in the little bait barge there, like getting fish when we're fishing, but I've never like actually stopped and fished like in the harbor around all the corners and stuff like that. I caught a spotty on a crocodile there once. That was pretty fun. Didn't Salty catch like 400 legals? Yeah, dude, Salty popped off that one day. That's for sure. But how did? That's what I'm. Yeah, when Mission Bay is hot, dude, I don't think you can argue there. But when it's dead, it's dead. 18 legals. Yeah, it's crazy. But what about last week? How many legals? 10-inch legal. It was brutal. Let's see. Mission Bay has schooling fish, Cuda, Jack Smelt, Selma, Blacksmith, all available in Mission Bay by a ton. Yeah, that's pretty cool. It's good stuff. Koi 69 fish is, I'm gonna go after it since my first slow pitch setup, and I kind of wanted to get into it because of you. If I like it, I might get a heavy. Oh yeah, dude, that's awesome. What jigs are you gonna use? That's the real question. Yeah, tell me how it goes. I think you'll love it, dude. It's awesome. I love slow pitch jigging those little spotties. It's like some of the funnest thing in the world. He has zero. I'm just giving you a hard time, Salty, because I know you have like a hard time. And that's what I'm saying, though, right? Like when it's on fire, it's on fire. And I think people kind of have like those. Uh, you get that golden day, and you're like, "Oh, Mission Bay is freaking great," and then we suffer through like all the other hard times. That's funny. I don't know. I think San Diego Bay just like, it seems like it has more variety. I don't know. Maybe because Mission Bay is like so small. You go like this set of docks, the next set of docks, and then it's really, like really shallow throughout most of it. You can go to deeper parts in the channel, but I don't know. I like just going like San Diego Bay. You can go across the bay, like the ammo dock. Then you get to the bait bars, and you can go fish all the docks inside. Then you can hit the channel there. Crazy. Although it's nicer Mission Bay sometimes. It doesn't seem to be as affected by the current and stuff like that. Seems like Saturday morning was rough for all. Yeah. 1.7 average. Dude, that's crazy, huh? That's insane. Yeah, man, that's pretty brutal. What can you do? But I mean, that's what makes it fun, right? I guess if it was always just like great fishing, there wouldn't be any competition. We'd all be out there crushing it. That's like those summer numbers, right? Where everybody's like when summer came around, if I didn't have like 5 legals by like noon, I was like, what the hell's going on? It was like legal after legal after legal. It's pretty awesome. Let's see here. So yeah, guys, if you have any more questions, I think that was it. Yeah, Kauai 69. Um, yeah, let me know. Like I said, so this kind of segues in. I do sell. We have our own jigs, slow death jigs, Kauai, and anybody else that wants to get some. A lot of these guys fish them. I know I've been fishing them exclusively now for a while. If you go to submissionfishing.com, you can buy them right on the website. Sold out of some of the colors, but I got other ones coming in. His sediments, cool to be sponsoring Salty and Brian out there on the SBS. Good luck to you guys out there. Hopefully you guys crush it. I know I'll see you tomorrow. Hook you up with some jigs. Hopefully you get on it. And yeah, I got shirts, hats, anything. If you guys want to support me, that's the one way to do it. If not, no big deal. You don't have to buy anything. Just thank you for being on the stream and liking the show. Share it with a friend. I mean, that really helps out. A lot of you guys have already been super generous and supportive, so I really appreciate that. For those of you that did make orders, I did get some when I was in Florida. We shipped those out yesterday, and so I know some of those are behind, so I do apologize for that. We fulfilled them like the day I came back. So yesterday when we came in, I was like, one of the first things I did was packed up your guys' orders and sent them out. So hopefully you should be getting them pretty soon. And I do apologize for that. I didn't really think about that. Like what's going to happen when the orders come in, and we were starting to get them in Florida and I had no way to fulfill them. So yeah, but those have gone out. So hopefully you guys get them. Sound fishing, the jigs are awesome. Thanks, dude. Yeah, I've seen your videos, dude. Thank you so much for supporting those things. I totally appreciate it. Yeah, guys, thanks for joining. Hopefully you learned something today. With the lateral lines on the fish. I just thought that was super interesting. Look into it some more. Check it out. I think in some future episodes we'll go over like the taste and the hearing, sort of the other aspects of fish. It's fun kind of doing that deep dive, something a little bit different. But I think it'll help out a lot. Help your game. Just remember, get out of the sight fishing thing. Think of the other things that the fish are using. And just don't get so locked in on what kind of color you're going to throw. Think about the big picture, the whole sensory picture. Think like a fish. The more we think like a fish, I think the better off you'll do. I'll say less. I get some of my setup is ready. Yeah. I mean, either way, quite like I'd say get a 20, any 20, 15 grams. Yeah, I'm just joking. You don't have to buy my jigs. You go to a local shop and get some. Yeah, see what they got. You should be good. Zachary Riggs, thank you. I appreciate it. TV Metal Art. Excited to get that art from you. Got the jig coming up. So hopefully we'll unveil that in the next show. Super awesome. TV Metal Art. You guys check him out. If you want some artwork done, he does metal art. He makes fish. I think pretty much everything. I've seen flags. I've seen all kinds of stuff. So if you want work done, go to tvmetalart.com. Check out his work. Sea Samurai. Thank you for the awesome. Oh, no. Thank you, Kevin, for being such an awesome guy. But thanks for the love, dude. Hopefully we'll see you soon. And yeah, guys, thanks for joining. We'll see you next time. Till then, let's go get our black belts in fishing. Oos.